all Farron.
Oh, it's all me.
Yeah, we're rolling,
all right
dude.
then. So here's all me because we don't have a cool one to just drop in there yet. So
we will.
It's still live. You know, I feel like I should say live from Decatur, Alabama. It's
Live from Fats on
Thursday
Fourth.
night from Fats on Fourth. Yeah. Okay, so y'all, this is where we always talk about our sponsor, and this is our first video episode. I wonder if you can see my hat good.
I wish I could zoom in. Wow.
That'd be awesome. But our sponsor, Jason Such with Primetime Lawn Care, guys, he's the best, not just because he's our sponsor, but because they do really, really good work. No job too big, no job too small. Give them a call at 256-606.
3064.
3064. Don't mess me up with the number this time. They'll be all like 303-256-606-3064. And they do Monday through Saturday stuff, but just like we always say, they rest on the seventh day.
As I stand before you, my people, on this day of jubilant celebration, I say to you, will we find the devil in the bushes? No. He will be perched high on the peace tree, devouring and sucking the fruit as the poverty weeds lay waste in the field. So revel not in the fascinations of man and realize the accountability of the just and unjust. For at that moment, may we all be caught up like a rushing wind to meet on that jumbo jet flight we call life.
We could dance.
Welcome to Do the Damn Show. I'm your host, the tatted, the fatted, the one and only Casey Hughes. And with me, as always, co-host and producer, Super Farron.
That's right. And I was trying to do a piece of chicken like Kenny so we could dance so everybody can see us. Anyway, yeah.
And we have our guest today, Miss Amy.
Amy
Garnett.
Amy Garnett. How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
What about Jeremy Braswell and Bishop Black?
Hey, now.
You know, too early, but there it goes.
And still take on no more care. With the next bed that I take will feel it there. Could you lend your hand for me? Take all my wants and not my needs. I wanna lay my riches up on the other side. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when the spirit hits you? Hey, now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
And
We were always here.
we're back. How about that?
But seriously, though, like last week I said this, even though it turned out we didn't do it video
Yeah.
like we said we were going to. But how are we going to say we're back? Because they can see us the whole time.
You know, we might throw something in there.
We could be like,
you know, I still want to get it back. Yeah. I want to get we'll do some kind of montage at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
You know, to where it's rolling when the song's playing. Maybe we can get some old Bishop Black footage.
That'd be awesome.
Would be nice.
Get a little Stephen White action back there on the drums.
Jeremy, we need Bishop Black footage.
Yes, sir.
So while we were muted, you expressed that that's a good song, right?
It's a great song.
And apparently you have a story with it.
I do have a little story.
Starts out with a story.
Yeah. So I started listening to you guys' podcast a few weeks ago, trying to catch up in my car. And I have an 8-year-old named Peppa. And that's another story why her name's Peppa, but we'll save that for later. And, you know, I listened to the podcast and I turned it off, went in Walmart, came out, and we're going home. And all of a sudden I hear her in the back seat going, "What you gonna do? What you gonna do?"
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
It's like stuck in her head. So she's been singing it all week.
Now we got to book Peppa.
Yeah, now we got to book Peppa.
We got to book
Oh, no,
Peppa.
We got Peppa and Jeremy.
Peppa has no filter. Peppa cannot come on a podcast.
Casey has no filter.
I have
and
no
he hosts
filter.
Well,
one.
she's 8.
He hosts 2.
Yeah. Host 2. We're
So-
starting a 3rd tomorrow.
Yes, sir. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, I've got to get to be the one to introduce this lady. All right. So I've been saying this all day, and she keeps correcting me because I'm not saying it right. I keep saying one of my oldest friends. Obviously, I don't mean that she's that old,
Yes,
but what
you
I mean
do.
is,
Slap him.
look, we've been friends since 6 years old, since 1st grade. We were 1st through 12th grade together.
1976.
That's right. This is Amy Garnett. Or for those of us in the
You weren't
know,
born. You were not born in 76.
those of us in the know, this is Amy Randolph, but she's been Garnett a lot longer now than she has Randolph.
Yeah.
But yes, and so Casey, you and I had a meeting a few weeks ago. We said we went to Penn's Hamburgers, and we said, where do we want to go with this show? You know, and we said, okay, how about what kind of guests? And we ended up with a pretty good list.
Oh yeah.
But I had immediately out of the gate, I had 3 people,
Yep.
and this was one of those 3 people.
Yep.
Oh.
And he was worried that you wouldn't do it.
Well,
It's because she told me she wouldn't.
yeah,
do it.
Yeah.
he asked me, and I said no. And then he asked me again, and I said no. And so he asked me the 3rd time, and I said no.
He's a persistent
bunch.
little shit.
And
bunch.
so I finally realized I've either got to file a restraining order or say yes and do the dang show. You know?
Well, and so I said to her, it's going to be easy. Look, I said, it's easy. It's not live.
That's right.
If we make some mistake or we say something and then we wish we hadn't or whatever, we just edit it out. No pressure. You're talking into a microphone. She finally said, okay. And then yesterday I said, oh, guess what? You're the first video episode.
Surprise!
Welcome. So yes, we are. This is our first video episode.
It is. Now,
This will be the first YouTube video from Fats on Fourth with
Wow.
Do the Damn Show.
History.
we got a real fun one coming up soon with Red, where we keep talking about how since we're on video,
Oh yeah.
but it's not on video.
Yeah, but that was a super crappy quality video.
Yeah.
We got it
Like-
dialed in. It looks crisp, clean. Look how beautiful I look.
Well,
This is the face that Hayden loves. Here, let me show you this one.
I have to say, it's got to be a smarter move too to have your first video episode and have a guest like Amy instead of a guest like, say,
Kenny?
Kenny,
Love you,
Jeff,
Kenny.
Red.
So, you know, the whole premise of this show, how it came to be, Do the Damn Show, we have talked about many, many times, but I just feel like I need to say it again, especially since this is video. And there may be people that tune in for that haven't listened to the other episodes. You know what I mean? So at some point in our life, we have a choice. Keep going the way that we're going, or take a step back, make an analyzation of ourself and our circumstances. Hey, I got it out. I'm super proud of myself.
You kind of did. It sounded a little like anal. Yeah, but at least it wasn't a hard A.
Yeah, hard A,
At least,
right?
at least it wasn't an analyzation.
Analyzation. Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's analyzation of ourself and our circumstances to begin to evaluate the trajectory of our life and go, am I headed in the right direction? And so I got to a point specifically centered around a relationship with God that was fueled by religion. I say religion because it's not a Christ-like walk, to where it's like God hit me with a baseball bat and goes, no matter what you do, you're going to have to do the damn show. You're going to have to go out and just do it. You're going to have to go out on a limb and trust me. You're going to have to go out on a limb and love me and allow me to operate through your life. So that is the premise, you know, the baseline for this. And we have an excellent, you know, Farron and I have a great chemistry and a synergy through the show. And I think that's one, because we're just super awesome people. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that arrogant. One, you know, we're kind of fun and we love life, but there has been a position in our life where we haven't always loved life. We've been in a position where life was hard. And we made it to the other side of it. More importantly, both of us carry a tattoo that you can't see, to where we were harmed by something that we tried to give ourselves to, that being religion. So with that synergy and that chemistry that comes, we want to be able to empower people to come and tell their story, you know, because we live in an age where everybody has a voice on Facebook.
Right.
But not a lot of people take the opportunity to do that, because there is a subconscious thing in our society that says you can't do that. You know, you can't say those things. You can't walk that way, which is what I came out of and what Farron came out of. You know, people have told us all our life, you can't talk about God that way. You can't do that. You have to fit in this box and you have to do that. And Amy, I come to an understanding and a revelation that is simply not true. And the more opportunity that we have to allow people to understand that and allow people to walk in that mentality, the freer they become, because we promote freedom on this show.
Yes, sir.
You know, through the death, resurrection, of Jesus Christ, and we just get rid of the bullshit. You know, we just do. We just get rid of it, and we want people to understand that God loves you right where you're at. And he does love you too much to leave you there, but he does love you right where you're at. So, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
I want to just tack on to that, too. God does a lot of good things. All good things come from God. There's a lot of hurting people in this world, and all
Absolutely.
shapes, sizes, ages, colors, backgrounds, whatever, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times, help comes for those people from a quote-unquote Christian source, from a church that's doing it right, or religious organization, but not all the times.
Correct.
A lot of times there's some really good stuff that's going on
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily have an official affiliation with a religion or a church or whatever, and dare I say, may or may not even be led by Christian people.
Yeah.
A lot of cases they are, like today, you know, we're going to talk about in a little bit what Amy's doing through Life Links, and we do know that Amy's a Christian, but you know what, Amy, if you weren't, we'd still like to have you on the show to talk about what Life Links is doing. You
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because it's about, just like Casey said, it's about real life.
So it's community, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
helping
what
people.
You know, humanity. I think we've taken a lot of the human out of humanity, and so therefore we've extracted ourselves from community. Or we tend to focus on our own little community, and we're in our little clique. I don't have anything against CrossFitters. If that's your deal, that's your deal. But CrossFit folks, they have a CrossFit community. That's what they do, and they operate inside their own regiment, and they compete with each other. The problem with not CrossFit, but the problem with that mentality and that ideology is that we have begun to blanket our society with that, especially when it comes to looking at Jesus Christ and God. If you don't fit inside this community, then we don't need you, or we don't want you. But Jesus Christ's mission, that's all it promoted, was community. So by having people, I don't know anything about LifeLink, and I'm super excited to learn about it. But from
We'll probably let her talk in a little bit. We're
Yeah,
just
in a
both
little
so
bit.
excited. Yeah.
It's fine.
So, you know, at some point we have to look back and go, you know, does it have morals and does it have values? Even though it doesn't have Jesus tacked to it, does it reflect his mission? Does it reflect the principles behind the faith that goes with that? And the more that we do that, I promise people that's watching, people that's listening, whatever, if you start dissecting things like that, you'll find a lot of community right around you.
Yeah, and let me add to, and then I promise we're going to get to Amy.
You keep promising, but she's
I
still
know, I
sitting
know.
there. She's
I know,
just agreeing.
But you keep setting me up so well, man. Imagine this. Imagine if we were into CrossFit. Then would we be tatted and fitted? Instead of
Probably.
tatted and fatted?
I've already got it, so I'm on this road to losing weight and going to the gym and this things, and so it's the tatted and slightly less fatted.
Okay.
That's coming in the near
Okay.
future.
Who knows? You could be tatted and fitted someday.
It could be.
Not
It
me.
might be.
I'm past that. You know, I've got a few years on you. So
Yeah, because you're her oldest friend.
Yes.
yes.
And he's older
Well,
than
one
me.
of, and so many stories, man. So many stories that I have to discipline myself so that we talk about at some point the meaningful things and the meaningful reason we have you here, not just the fun stuff. But Amy.
Yes.
All right. So you have I know very little about Life Links and about your road to Life Links. As a matter of fact, I was telling Casey all about it earlier today, and then after you and I talked, I realized that it wasn't wasn't even close to what I said it was.
He told it all wrong.
But
That's why we have you here.
well, before we get into Life Links, if we could kind of follow a normal linear path here, I want to know about your family and how that happened. By the way, Amy has, 16, 18 kids, something like that.
Seven?
Yeah.
I got you.
Feels like 16 or 18 sometimes.
So yeah, take us a walk of what makes up Amy, and going to that point, because it's amazing how people's story work. There's always a foundation. There's always a root cause to end up where we're at.
So let me start with, I met my husband when I was 15 years old. And my parents were pretty strict. And I was the oldest child, so I couldn't date. So we had to, talk on the kitchen phone that stretched all the way to the utility room. I don't know if you even had
Oh
a
no, I had it. Yes.
Was it one of those 20-foot cords?
Yes,
Yeah.
20-foot cord, and get in the pantry and close the door on the cord, and talk on the phone every night. And, my allotted hour was 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. My sister's was 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. But anyway, we talked for about a month before I turned 16. So Valentine's Day was 1 week before my 16th birthday. So we had 7 days till we could I could get in his car and we could go on a date. So he sends me 7 roses. Oh, do you have like a sound effect, like a bite? And so he sends me 7 roses and he puts on the card counting the days. So my mom, it's Valentine's Day. So
What a sweetheart.
I know.
Listen,
I know.
when she's done with this, later I got to show you some pictures and stuff of Willard because you would not have thought that this dude would do that. Anyway, go ahead.
So my mom thinks it's so sweet, and she's like, "Okay, it's just a week till your birthday. Y'all can go out tonight." So he picks me up, and we drive around, and he didn't have any money because he bought roses, so we can't go eat.
Yeah,
we can't
that's
do
my
anything.
guy
We
right
just drive
there.
around. So anyway, we got married 5 years later. We've been married 33 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. 33 years last month. And we had 3 biological children. And our life was just a normal, 3 kids, ball field, everybody going. And then in 2007 is kind of when God turned everything upside down. In a good way.
He's really good at that.
Yeah, in a good way. But at the time, it felt like, what's going on here? But our kids were 15, 13, and 10.
Bless you.
Yeah.
I have a 15-year-old now, and that's why I say that.
Well, yeah. And so we were in church one day, and this some friends of ours walked in with these foster children, little Hispanic foster children, and I was just like, what is going on here? Like, where did they come from? And they, were like, we're foster parents now. And anyway, I was like, this is so interesting to me. And my husband said, no. He shut me down. Like, absolutely not. We have 3.
You know how many roses I got to buy, Amy?
He was like, you'll keep them all, and we're not doing it. So I just kind of let it ride. Well, one of the babies was, one of the foster babies was 9 months old. And she was beautiful. And everywhere we went, church, ball games, wherever, she was there. Suddenly, like, we saw these people 4 times a week. And
It was a plot.
And Farron alluded to what my husband looks like. He's big, he's burly, he's not friendly. He doesn't really like children that much.
My kind of guy, man.
And so this baby would literally seek him out and reach for, person to person until she got him, and then just lay her head on his shoulder. So one night we're at a football game, and he says to me, if you want to do that foster care thing. Okay. And I was like, okay. So we fill out the packet. I start working on the packet and everything. And about a couple weeks in, he comes to me and says, I need to talk to you about something. And he's only said that to me about 3 times. And every single time it's been like some crazy, like, oh my gosh.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And he says, I need to talk to you about something. And I said, okay. And he said, God is telling me that I'm supposed to be Yuri's daddy. And I was like, and good Christian wife would be like, that's great, honey. Let's pray about it and let's let God, I just said, well, that's stupid because she's got a foster parent, like you're wrong, And so we rocked on a few weeks, and when I filled out the paperwork, there's a little section that says, your ideal placement, what fits best with your family, what kind of child would work best with your family. And he says, put Hispanic female under 1. And I was like,
it's very specific.
Yeah, I was like, this is not going to be. I was like, you don't understand. She has a foster family. We're not getting her. And so about a month after that foster mom called me and said, I need to tell you something. And I said, what? And she said, Yuri has a baby sister. I just picked her up from the hospital. I was like, oh my gosh, what? And she said, yeah. And so, it rocked on a few weeks, and finally, they realized they didn't have the space in their house. They didn't have the space in their car. It looked like it was going to be an adoption. They did not feel the call to adopt. I mean, basically, God worked it out that he became Yuri's dad.
So he was right.
Yeah, Willard said, told you.
Right. Yeah.
Told you.
Yeah. So that was our first, and it was amazing because I thought we had a really pretty normal family, but we ate dinner at night in our in our different chairs or in our room or wherever. And when those babies came to live with us, suddenly everybody ate at the table. And then everybody moved to the den. Instead of going to their bedrooms and shutting their doors, everybody laid on the floor and just stared at these babies doing all these adorable things. God restored our family when we didn't even know we needed to be restored.
Yep.
Like it was just amazing. So we fostered a lot of kids over the years. But when Yuri and Gigi, that's their names, that's our babies' names. They're now 16 and 15, and they're not nearly as nice as they were when they were.
Again, bless you.
Yeah. When they were about, I guess they were 4 and 5 years old, we got a call. I was actually at church on a Wednesday night, and DHR called me and said, "Can you pick up a newborn tomorrow and keep her just for 24 hours? We're going to go to court, and her grandparents are going to probably come and be at court to get her." Well, she's 11, and she's a Garnett.
I knew that's what.
She never left. And so when she was 3 years old, I got another phone call about her baby sister, and we brought her home from the hospital, and we really did not think that we would that she would be able to be adopted.
Yeah.
And so I did not really want Aubrey to know that it was her biological sister, so we didn't tell her in the beginning. Of course, she was 3 and she wouldn't understand.
I did not know that. They're biological sisters?
They are biological sisters,
Whoa.
yes. And so she said,
cool.
"What's her name?" And I said, "We're going to call her a nickname probably." And she said, "Peppa." And I was like, "No, not," because this is Peppa Pig. She's
Peppa
all
Pig,
about,
yeah.
You know, Aubrey spoke into the British accent and everything.
I'm going to tell you something real quick. I just want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I despise George.
Oh, really? George?
Yeah, George. Yeah. No.
Peppa.
George.
No, dude. He's so whiny.
He is very whiny.
He's always crying.
Yeah,
He's
he
little.
is.
I drew a cartoon one time. You remember? I think it was the Wizard of Id or Id. It was an old comic
Yeah,
strip.
Wizard of Id. I remember
Yeah,
that.
they had an executioner in there in one of those things.
I remember that, too.
I drew that executioner, but with George. And Peppa
See.
was crying.
So people like you are the reason that my kids aren't allowed on YouTube,
YouTube
proper.
Kids,
they
yeah.
have to
I
watch only
didn't-
YouTube Kids.
I didn't
Yeah.
put it on there. I just drew it. It was just a sketch that I drew.
Well, my theory is George is a middle child. He just needs a baby sister.
George is a middle child, through and through.
Yeah, he is.
he
but
just
he-
doesn't have the baby sister
He
yet. Is
didn't
what you're
have baby
saying.
sister
Okay,
yet.
I
Yeah,
got you.
season whatever that'll be. I don't know what season that'll be. But anyway.
So wait, are you comparing George to Haley Ray?
Oh God, Haley Ray isn't. I don't even know what she is. She was a middle child for a long time, but she's not now.
No,
And
because she's the
second
of seven. Yeah.
Once a
But-
middle child, aren't you always a middle child?
I don't know.
I think Hollywood has taught us that.
I guess she's something else. She's a whole show of her own. But anyway, Aubrey says I'm going to call her Peppa, and I'm just like, you can't call her Peppa. What And then within 3 weeks, everybody in our family was calling her Peppa. The church was calling her Peppa. Like daycare was calling her
Yep.
Peppa. And when we adopted her at age 3, we changed her name to Peppa because that's who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Her middle name's not Pig though, right? She's not Peppa Pig Garnett.
She's Peppa Claire, but she
Okay.
tells people her name is Peppa Pig Garnett because she gets confused. But it's Peppa Claire. But anyway, so we that's kind of our in a nutshell
How you got there.
Yeah, how we got there. We fostered about, I counted one day and I think it was 19 children over 10 years. But some were just for days and some were
Did you ever foster any little boys, or was it always girls?
we had a couple little boys, but not many. They didn't call us for
I'm going to tell you, I would take girls any day
No.
Well,
over little boys.
well, you got
Can I do that? Can I spit in
yeah, sure. We wash them.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I know you're oldest Hunter.
Hunter.
So you got the one son, the oldest, but then all the others are girls, and so I've wondered about that before. If you ever fostered any boys,
We fostered some little boys, but they were babies. You know, they
Yeah.
weren't really like boys, but they were babies. We fostered probably our most special foster child that we didn't end up keeping was her name was Samantha, and they called me in the middle of the night and said we have a 15-year-old girl and her baby, her 3-month-old baby, and we need a foster home. And I said no, just like I told you no. I said no. I don't. I have a 15-year-old girl, and I don't even like her. I don't want anybody else's 15-year-old girl, you know. And so
That's
I hung up the
hilarious.
phone, and in just a minute they call me back, and it was the sheriff's deputy who I knew, and he goes, "Amy, please, can you just please take her just for tonight? She has nowhere to go." And I was like, "Oh, jeez." So we got in the car. I woke my husband up and said, "We're going to get 2 kids." And so I woke him up, and we went and got her, and she was scared to death. And you know, on the way to court the next day, she was asking me a lot of questions about our family. And so my husband called me on the way to court, and he said, what's going to happen today? And I said, I mean, I guess she'll go to another foster home or maybe with family. I'm not sure. And he said, I think we should keep her. I think she should stay here for a while. And I said, she could be a terrible influence on our girls. And he said, or they could be a good influence on her.
Correct. Yes.
Well, as it turned out, he's right again. I hate it when he's so profound and says things like that.
I just want to point out we have documentation that a wife said her husband was right.
He's been right a few times.
and it's recorded.
And it's
it will not be-
recorded. It's in.
We could edit it out.
No, we're not.
I smell a bidding war.
I think that's going to be the TikTok clip. My husband was right.
Could be. But she was. It turns out. She was a great influence. I mean,
awesome.
My girls were entitled and had no idea. I mean, they're great kids, but they had no idea how things could be. And we all fell in love with her. She lived with us for 8 months. She got to go back and live with her dad. She ended up, funny story, she moved to Arkansas with her family, and she married a Garnett. How funny is that?
How
She was
cool is
like,
that?
oh,
That's
you guys should have been a
hilarious.
Garnett. Yep. And so she's doing great. And now I guess my message to other foster parents is don't put yourself in that box, because I said I would never take a teenager ever. And I can't imagine if we had missed that.
Yeah.
Having her.
So I do this thing real quick. I have to do this before I forget. That's how I remember things.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that I wanted to hone in on real quick, and that was you guys were in a situation with your family that you didn't even know needed to be repaired.
Right.
And I'm guilty of that because I keep this ridiculously rigorous schedule that I have to reel myself back sometimes and go, man, you got to spend some time with your family.
Yes, sir.
To get those core values in there. And so I think people that are listening, if you have children, that's a very teachable moment because it's so easy for us to get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even if we have good habits, like we go to the movies every Friday, that is a good habit for a family to do. But we have to be careful not to fall into that habitual activity because our children, even though it may be wholesome to us, we're not in a position to just focus on what's wholesome for us.
Right.
We have to focus on what's wholesome for our children. So I think at some point, including myself, that's what I got from your story. I got a lot more, but that's one thing that stuck out is we have to, as a family, have more moments of the baby on the floor.
Yeah.
And just taking time to be centered around what we have. Because it's so easy to get caught up in now we got a 65-inch TV and we can play Mario Kart and we're spending time. And, those are all good things. But we have to have those wholesome, distraction-free, intentional family moments. And because, we started out talking about communities, that is the community that matters the most, is our immediate community, our family,
and so
those people that are with us.
So often, instead of treating them like they're the ones that mean the most, we get caught in this rut where outward appearances are so important that we'll bend over backwards to be kind to a total stranger so that we don't give them the wrong idea, while we short side or lose our cool or whatever with our own loved ones. I've been guilty of that in the past too. I hope I'm not now. I'm really trying not to be now.
That's something that Hayden has hit me in the face with. She's like, you love all these people and you do this for all these people and I feel left out. And there's a part of me that goes, why do you feel left out? I do this, I do this, I do this. But the hard thing for me to do was to hear that and listen to that and take a step back and go, you know what? She's right. She is right. And even though the best of my intentions may lay in helping other people, I have to take care of that first.
Right. Yeah.
I have to take care of the foundation.
Yep.
And she's a rock star. I'm going to tell you, because my schedule is ridiculous. I mean, it was, I was in West Virginia Monday.
Yeah.
And less than 12 hours later, I was here. And it stays that way. And we're doing 3 shows today. So we have to be intentional with the things that we do. Something else that you said, I wanted to tell you, the man that just left, he was my boss, I think you guys met. His name is Jeff. Jeff grew up in Chicago, or outside of Chicago, and he was a foster child.
Oh, okay.
He came out of a I thought I've got a gritty past, but his dad was shot in the face, and his uncle, by by his dad's brother, shot him in the face. Man. His dad beat a guy to death with a chain, and on the way home stopped at a gas station, got a snack and filled up with gas, and went on home like it was nothing. Well, Jeff was pulled out of that home, and put into foster care, and his brothers went with him. But he is the director of our business development.
Wow.
And he's 44 years, I think it is now, and he's worked for the same company for 22 years.
Wow.
And he started out as a parts puller, but because of the foster, I joke with, he grew up on a pig farm, so they grew up working, like 200 head of kind of pig farm, like a big deal. But he attributes that's his mom and his dad. Yeah. The foster parents, they interjected themselves into that life, and I dare say he's been a great mentor to me. If that hadn't have happened, I may not have had the same mentor. So I really do applaud people in that position. I'm not trying to put you on a pedestal, and I'm not trying to put those people on a pedestal, but the impacts that are made, because let's face it, we hear horror stories about foster parents.
Right.
They're everywhere. You can turn on the news in any city at any given time, and you can hear terrible things about foster parents. But the good side of it is there are major impacts made in these people's lives by people that didn't have to. Right. Because I want to strangle the 3 kids that I got. Yeah.
Same.
All the time I want to. And I can't imagine having 3 more. But it matters.
4. I have 4 more.
4 more.
Yeah.
4 more. Yeah. Don't sell her short. She's got to make up for it, because she heard where Kenny was on here, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell my friend you adopted 5 at once.
Yeah.
So it does. It matters. It does, and it makes impact. So it's really cool to hear that. To hear that story, how it came to be, because there's so many guys of us out there that are, I don't know your husband's real name, but
Willard.
Yeah.
Willard. To hear, we have that natural gruff, especially with some of the histories that we have, but dude, we're all softies at heart.
He really is. Nobody outside of our core group really sees that. You probably have never even seen that.
Well, here's the thing. I've never seen it because we've never been close, but I knew it existed because y'all been married for 33 years, and he's got like 28 daughters.
Yeah.
So I keep exaggerating. I know it's only like 14, but anyway.
It feels like 28.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I've been bragging about how long we've been friends, right? And then you got here, and 10 minutes after you were here and we were talking, I realized that I had told your entire life story completely wrong to everybody.
It's okay.
I don't know if I dreamed some of these things, because I thought, okay, but here's what I do know. Okay, because I just told somebody about how you adopted Yuri and Gigi from like Nicaragua or something. And then you're telling us how it happened. And I'm like, duh.
No, their mother is, they're Guatemalan. Their mother was in Guatemala, came here and had them, and then just could not. She tried really, really hard to take care of them and make it work, but she just could not. And so, basically she gave me her blessing, which doesn't happen a lot with foster care, but
correct.
She needed to go back to Guatemala, and she wanted to make sure that that they were left in good hands. And
like she made a real sacrifice for them, because she knew they'd have a better life
here. She did, and she FaceTimes them. We FaceTime. Yeah. So they, now she speaks Spanish and they don't. So that's there's a lot of Google Translate involved. But
my 5-year-old grandson speaks Spanish.
Oh, that's cool.
He understands English, but he can't speak back in English. It's Spanish, and so we have some really cute conversations.
I know. That's how that's how it works.
Okay, so what came first? Okay.
The chicken.
Or all at the or it was all at the same time. You had the foster kids, and then ended up adopting. But you also, I know, before we're working up to LifeLinks, before LifeLinks, you were part of CASA, right? Was that before you had the kids, or was it after because you had the kids? It
was okay. So we were foster parents, and there was a situation which did not even involve me, but I tend to get into situations that don't involve me sometimes. If I see what I think is injustice.
Guilty.
I stir the pot a little bit. And so I saw a situation within the foster care system that I thought was horrible, and I did not think the children's best interest was being addressed. So I Googled child advocacy. I was looking for, and I came across CASA. Well, I called the number, and they were in Birmingham. And the lady I talked to, she said, I'm the state director. We don't have a chapter in North Alabama, but I would love to come and talk to you. So we met at Arby's, me and her and my friend Aubrey Brooks, And she said, look, guys, I would love for there to be a chapter here in North Alabama, but I need somebody to start it. And I said, Aubrey will. Aubrey was like, I just came for roast beef. I don't even know what we're
I'm
doing
just here for moral support.
And so
What is CASA?
CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate.
Okay.
And when a child comes into the juvenile system, the local judge will assign a CASA to that child, and that CASA stays with them legally until their case is closed. So speaks for them at court. CASA goes in and, just talks to the teachers, talks to the foster parents, talks to the birth parents. And then the CASA goes to court and says, I don't care what mom wants. I don't care what foster mom wants. This is what's best for the child.
Gotcha.
And so I was a CASA until I started LifeLinks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it was kind of like a conflict of interest to do everything. So I had to kind of define my role.
Yeah.
But I had worked as a medical transcriptionist from home my entire adult life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, voice recognition became more popular and better. And so the industry was starting to die, and I knew that. I just hoped that I could do it until I was retirement age, And in 2018, on Halloween night, I came home from trunk or treat to an email that said, effective November 1st, my biggest account, I had about probably 18 transcriptionists on that account, was transitioning to voice recognition. And I was like, November 1st. That's 4 hours from now. So basically, I got a 4-hour notice that I had to fire all these people, and that was my source. That was my main source of income. And I'm not a worrier. I don't worry about things. I don't really stress about things. I mean, I guess that's why I can have so many children.
Except when somebody asks you to be on their podcast.
Except that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning, and I nudged my husband and said, hey, I just had an idea. I'm going to open a business and be a service provider for DHR. And he mumbled something, like that I didn't understand, and just said whatever. And that morning I went to DHR and ran into the director and said, I'm thinking about being a service provider. And she said, okay, that sounds great. We need them. What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know what it means. Tell me what you want me to do. And she started rattling off like, we need you to supervise visits. We need you to do drug screens. We need you to teach parenting classes. We need you to teach substance abuse classes, domestic violence. She just had this big, long list.
Yeah.
And literally, the reason I know that God ordained this is because within 24 hours, I had a lease. I had employees. I mean,
Holy cow.
It just... Every single door. It's been 5 years, and there's really not been an obstacle yet. And so that's how I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Isn't it crazy how God works like that?
It's so crazy.
I have a saying that it's hard work, but you don't have to work real hard.
Right.
When he gets involved, it just... This is how it goes. See, I spit in the mic too, so it's okay.
That's okay.
But this is my mic too.
Now, I didn't want to be left out, so.
But that's the community outreach that I do. It's been that way. It's just door after door after door after door that I didn't have to work for.
Right.
I didn't have to ask for. I just got a call yesterday. There's a government entity that's associated with Redstone Arsenal in the Army. It's called SSI Shares, and quarterly they donate to different organizations and charities in the immediate community. And they called me on behalf of the charity to go, hey, we would like to do this. And I'm like, who are you? Well, first they called me, and I was like, look, you're going to tell me what it's about, because this phone rings for 4 different things. I said, which entity are we talking about here? And he told me. I said, man, I got to ask you, how did you find me? And he was like, Julia Hill gave us your name, and yada, yada, yada. I was like, I don't know who the hell Julia Hill is. But God, that's the way that he works. It's just, you don't have to work real hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
But he'll just make a way, and it'll pave a way. And it's even back to this podcast, with Farron, we have not had an issue outside of Amy Garnett scheduling guests.
Yeah,
but she's here, and here you are.
She's here.
And he always shows up. That's such the cool thing, because none of this is scripted. We don't even talk about the show. Any episode.
Well, I told you all about Amy, how she adopted her kids from the Bahamas and how
Yeah, it was all
she
wrong.
runs this organization.
She fell
that-
off a cruise ship, ran into these kids swimming, and was
And then she started this business that I don't even remember what I said, but it ain't what they do.
Right.
But yeah,
But that's how he works, and I think that if more people got that understanding, because there's been people that have stood in pulpits and have said that if you'll do this, this is how he works, but actually operating inside the favor. That's one thing I called my dad this morning about something I had going on. And he used to be the guy that would say, what is it? Let them not touch God's anointed or something. That when you challenge somebody in authority at a religious organization, they come back with that. My dad used to be that guy. And he's been preaching grace now for all 15 years or so. But he told me, he said, son, that's God's favor. When you walk under the umbrella of God's favor, and it's not this big, huge list of things that I got to do to get there. You didn't have to do anything to get to that.
Right.
You didn't, all you had was the faith that this is what I'm supposed to do. And then God comes in and he shows you, and we're here. I say we're here, you're here as well, but we're here to encourage people to begin to wrap their brain around that.
yeah.
To go that you can. You can do that. You can operate inside of this, and it is free. Not only is it free, but it promotes freedom in it.
And these are the stories that we're hearing, okay? We're hearing about
Exactly.
things like life links
Yep.
and everyday sunshine and random people adopting 5 kids all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's so much bad news.
Yeah.
There's so much bad news
Yeah.
that every week we do this podcast. We'll record 1 or 2, and then another reason for doing this podcast presents itself in my head, and it just feels so great. And we're either talking about something that somebody listening is going through,
Yeah.
and they need to hear it, or we're talking about something that's helping other people that hopefully somebody that's listening has thought about. Well, maybe I could do something like that,
Absolutely.
but I have no idea how. And then all of a sudden they hear awesome stories like Amy's.
Yep.
So you said 5 years ago, Lifelinks.
2018.
And it's kind of like a family business, right?
It is.
Doesn't some of your family work there?
So, Haley Ray, our oldest daughter, and Carly, the next daughter down, both work for me. We cover, my plan was to service Morgan County for the first year and kind of cut my teeth on them and figure out what was what. And within the first year, we were servicing 8 counties. We're now working with probably a dozen every month. Yeah.
Wow.
And we've got it's the need is so great.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
It's and it's funny because I'll have a DHR worker call me at least once a week and go, "Hey, I've got this really, really crazy request, and feel free to say no." And I'm like, I can't. That's my. When
That's why they call you, because they know you're not going to say no.
She says, just don't tell Willard.
But so many times, I have to like say, okay, I don't really want to do this, but
Yeah.
do I really have a reason to say no?
Right.
It's kind of like the podcast,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like, I really didn't want to do it at first, but I couldn't think of a reason to say, I didn't really have a good reason to say
exactly.
no. So I have used hashtag say yes so many times for foster care
Yep.
that it's just kind of like spilled over into my real life. I say yes a lot of times. And every time I probably shouldn't, but I reap the rewards.
Yeah.
You know? I know that life is not all about feeling good, but it sure feels good to feel good.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. And that's one thing, because we talk about joy. Joy is not an emotion. I think we've said it on every episode since you've been here.
I think so. Yeah.
Because it's not, but there is a certain level of joy that comes through that, I don't do things for the way that it makes me feel. It's the affirmation from God on the backside of it to go, I'm with you. And so therefore I live in a more joyous state consistently, even through the bad things. And it's because of the way that I choose to navigate my life, inside of his will, inside of his favor, because of the decisions that I make, not because of the decisions that I think I need to make.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where the reward comes from for me. And I'm not out here raising kids like that. I don't know that I could.
Oh, you
I
could.
really.
If God tells you to, don't
Well,
challenge
if he
him.
tells me, no, God, no, please. I've had to narrow my life down to 5 things.
Yeah.
I stick with these 5 until he, because I'll do anything.
Don't start the 5 business. Okay?
No.
Keep that to
I get
yourself.
podcast
You need to
ideas
start
all the
5
time.
Business.
All the time. I get.
Well, I meant on me. Don't start the 5 business on me.
Oh.
You do that almost every episode, and I mention you almost every time. So you guys aren't
It's a
tracking.
trend.
You guys aren't tracking what I'm saying, and I'm going to count that as a blessing, and I'm going to move on. So
no, I got it. You've been married 5 times.
Oh, I didn't even get it. I didn't know you'd
You're
been
the one
married
that told
5
me.
times.
Yes, you
Wink,
did.
wink.
Wink, wink. Video. There's video. She's winking.
sorry.
You're the one that told me while I was playing music at Josie's, by the way, or somewhere. She tells me in the middle of me playing music and doing a set, 5 times is the legal limit, right?
In Alabama.
I love it.
think that's true.
Well,
I'm pretty sure
that's
it is.
fine because I'm blessed now
You
with the
don't
one
need.
that's
You don't
the
need number
one.
6.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Took you a little while.
I am
And
blessed
I
with
got to
the
tell
one.
you that, man. Angela's such a good fit for you.
She
Man,
really is.
She really is. It's like that.
Y'all don't get me started because I'll pull a Kenny on you and start crying.
Crying.
But yeah, you have no idea. We could have a whole podcast with
Yeah.
me just touching a finger each time, telling you all the reasons why.
The 5.
She's the no, it'd be more than 5. Why she's absolutely perfect for me. But anyway, I wanted to bring up something that might not be quite as serious, but it's super cool.
Hey,
You
dude, that's what
mentioned-
we're here for.
You mentioned your daughter Carly.
Yes.
Okay, so I know me and you, neither one of us are huge sports guys, but we're guys,
Yeah.
so we're aware of sports, right?
Yeah.
Is it called the Indoor Football League? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Carly's husband was a quarterback for the champions of the Indoor Football League last year.
Oh, cool.
Yes, yeah. The
Nice.
Northern Arizona Wranglers.
All right.
He played quarterback at Troy University
Oh, awesome.
and had some high hopes of playing in the NFL, and then COVID. He graduated the year of COVID, and
Well, that squashed
no
a lot
pro
of
days.
people's.
Yeah, it really messed things up. So he sat out a year, and then he got invited to the IFL, and they moved with my new grandbaby to Arizona. So
I smell bitterness.
it's a good thing he won the national championship is all I got to say. But I spent lots of money flying to Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally left like on a Monday, and 10 days later, I called Willard and said, I just booked flights to Arizona. And he said, when? I said, tomorrow. He was like, they've only been gone a week. And I'm like, don't start. I'm going to see my grandbaby. And he didn't fuss. But it was lots of fun to watch. And they won the championship. And then she was expecting baby number 2. So he didn't play this year. But spoiler alert, there may be one more season in his future.
All right.
So we'll see. He's talking to some
In the
folks.
IFL? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So my mom lives 9 hours away.
Okay.
She lives just north of Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
And I used to get, this is going to sound terrible, but it's real. I used to get like irritated with how much she would shower my children with because she doesn't get to see them that often. And it finally clicked like one day, like, what does it really matter?
Yeah.
Who really gives a shit? Because she doesn't get to see them often, and because that's a stroke, to be that far
Yeah.
away, especially grandkids, like I can't wait to get to grandkids because I'm just going to spoil the shit out of them. I really and truly am. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Oh, well,
So-
we have 3 granddaughters and a grandson, and now we have a foster granddaughter who's 2.
Oh, wow.
And she's just new to the family, just a couple weeks. But all of my kids live near, so I see them. I see my grandkids every day. So
wow.
and then my kids are young. My little kids are young, so it's kind of like I've got kids and grandkids the same age.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you have a grandchild older than your youngest?
I don't. My oldest grandchild is 6, and Peppa is 8. But if I'm being honest, Aubrey and Peppa are 11 and 8, and we pretty much went in grandparent mode when we had them.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, so I have, how old's Hunter?
31.
So you got a 31? and an
31,
8.
31, 28, 26, 16, 15, 11, and 8.
Okay, because, I've got, mine are all biological, but I've got a 28 and then a 9 and a 7.
Yeah.
And that 9 and the 7, it didn't really happen. Didn't really go into grandparent mode with them.
Really?
No, we haven't done that. But what's weird is I have a 5-year-old grandson who, so Uncle Oscar and Uncle Ollie are just.
Yeah.
I remember us growing up, where we went to high school, Danville, and I remember there being people like that. Like there'd be 3 guys and they'd all be like the same age.
Yeah.
These 2 were brothers, but this one was their uncle.
The uncle, yeah.
And I thought that's so
right.
weird, right?
Yeah.
Now, my grandson, I very rarely get to see him because he lives far away. But I have noticed that on the very rare occasions that I do, it's night and day. And it's so weird because he's not
perfect.
that much younger
Yeah.
than my Ollie, who's 7, and my Oscar, who's 9. But the feeling, they always talk about grandparents and all the little anecdotes, that they say, oh, but we spoil them and we send them home, and they're like, well, I've got these almost the same age, and when I'm with my boys, I'm like, well, I'm their dad. I'm a dad mode, but if I ever get to be with the grandson, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's completely different.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so ready.
It's great.
And my kids live a good life now, but I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Our newest grandbaby was born in March, and it's a boy. And he was our first
I was
boy
going to say
in
that.
31
First
years.
boy in the whole family. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's going to be especially rotten.
Yeah.
So Lifelinks.
Lifelinks, yep.
What is Lifelinks?
Okay,
Sum that up
so-
for us, what that
okay.
actually entails.
So Lifelinks is a service provider for DHR.
Okay.
So basically, when children go into foster care or DHR has a family that's involved with them for whatever reason, we offer services such as supervised visitation. So if your kid goes in foster care, you're not going to get to just pop in and see them at the foster home. You're going to
Gotcha.
have to come to Lifelinks or DHR to see them, and somebody will supervise that.
Awesome.
And we're those people. We also do drug testing. I don't know if you're familiar with Color Code. They do that like in the criminal system. They do that, but we also do it in the juvenile.
We're not all criminals.
I know.
No,
it's
I
okay.
used to be.
Yeah,
It's okay.
it's okay. A misunderstanding.
I know
I'm sure.
what color code
I'm
is.
sure, yeah. But we do this really cool thing with our drug screens. We do what we call on-sites. So I'm on call 24/7, and if DHR goes out to a call tonight where there's alleged drug use, instead of having those people come to me tomorrow or me go to jail and
Do it
screen
right
them,
then?
yeah, I go to their
Wow.
house. Yeah, I go to their house in the middle of the night and make them pin a cup.
Boom.
Yep.
Do you have to hold
And-
the cup?
No.
Okay, that's
I've been
good.
asked to a few times, and I don't like that.
I'm going to tell you something real quick. I took a drug test one time. I was court-appointed drug test, and I had to, which I've never been a really big drug guy. I drank enough to float a battleship around, but
Right.
I had to go across the street immediately.
Yeah.
Left the courtroom, went across the street immediately to go to this facility to pee in a cup, and it was a urinal, which I had taken a lot of drug tests up to that point,
Right.
but this was the first one where I was completely surrounded by mirrors,
Yeah.
and that was very unnerving.
So you had to pee in the fun house.
Yeah, I had to pee
So-
in the fun house. It's like standing at the fair, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Standing there,
We
and
have,
so
like full-length mirrors in our bathrooms, and we observe.
yeah,
So,
that's what they did.
yeah.
There was 2 people in
There's
there.
no privacy.
It
Right.
was, I was like, holy mac, which I didn't have anything to hide,
Yeah.
at that point. But I was just like, dude, this is very, there's like 8 of me
Yeah.
standing
Well,
here.
About a year and a half ago, I was changing jobs, and long story short, I had to lose some weight. I used to be even heavier than this, and I had a heart condition, had a heart stent, had to lose some weight, had to get healthy. Got these little kids, and now I want to be around for them. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was doing weight loss management through my doctor's office, right? And they're giving me this pill, and I'm taking this pill, and it's working really great. Well, I go for a drug test for this job.
It's amphetamine.
I didn't think nothing about it. Yes, ma'am. And so it's one of those that has a little readout on it right there.
Yeah.
So they see it right there when you do it.
Yeah.
So I took it, brought it to them. They looked, it flagged amphetamines, right? And I was like, and before I thought, oh wait, it's got to be my diet pill. The lady asked me. She said, "So, you do meth?"
Clearly,
And
ma'am.
I'm thinking to myself, is that the vibe I'm giving off here? Is that, I look like,
Maybe I shouldn't have scratched my face.
I've got family and friends that have done that, and the Lord has delivered them from it. So I know it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
However, I've never done it.
Yeah.
So it's a little
I
disconcerting.
went into the hospital one time with a panic attack when I was younger.
Yeah.
And before I left that place, the physician asked me 5 times if I'd done coke that day.
Oh.
And I was bigger than I am now. And I'm like, dude, do I look like a cokehead?
Right.
But like, well,
Maybe
it's your behaviors. This, and I was like, man, I'm having like, I think I'm having a heart attack right now. Like, I think I'm dying.
Maybe it was Diet Coke.
Yeah. But
Dad
still
joke.
drink
Dad
Diet
joke alert.
Coke.
Yeah.
I always word it like, when was the last time you did meth? Not like, do you do meth?
Yeah. When was the last time? Yeah.
Because that like trips them up.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good psychological
Yeah.
play. I'm a psychological guy. I like that.
Yeah.
Because
I like
I would answer that. I got put on the spot that way. I'd be like, oh, okay. I see what you're doing here. You're assuming I just did meth like last week. Yeah. It's been 3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
It's been
guilty. Yeah.
6 months. Thank you.
It's funny because so myself and Haley and Carly are the three in the office that do the drug screens, and we do most of the on-sites as well, but we're all so different. So if somebody comes in and they've smuggled in some urine, especially a female, and they do that, they try that.
That's not a business
It
I want to be
doesn't-
in.
yeah.
Urine smuggling.
Yeah. So
I'm mule and piss.
There's a lot of money in it, I bet.
So when they actually, produce the urine, there's a temperature strip on the cup.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't register, then it didn't come out of your proper channels. And I will
I
say,
love it. Proper channels.
I will say, oh goodness, it didn't register. Can you give me another sample? Really nice. And if they can or whatever, I'll be like, I'll let your social worker know. We'll be in touch. Sorry you wasted your trip down here, but I can't accept it. I'm sorry. I'm really nice. Carly is, hides in the closet and texts me and Haley like, oh my gosh, he gave me fake urine. What do I do? I don't want to like upset him. I'm scared he's going to kill me. She's like freaking out. And Haley like busts
I
the
can
door
imagine.
down. Oh my God. She'll bust the door down and be like, who the crap do you think you are coming in my house with fake urine?
Yeah.
Don't you come back in here. And so we're all so
It's like
different.
blocking a shot in basketball.
It is.
Yeah.
She's like,
Get out of my house.
I've
Fake
sent
urine.
so many emails to DHR going, hey, Haley might have got a little bit aggressive.
See, I'm the guy that would walk up and check their pulse. They go, "What are you doing?" I say, I'm just making sure you're not dead because this piss is cold.
It's cold.
Like it came out of
I'll
came
have
out
to
of a
tell Haley
cadaver,
that.
dude.
Haley Ray would love that one.
Yeah,
She would love
I mean, I call it like it is.
So, does DHR contact you and say we need help with this, or do you have people come directly to you? Or
We are mostly through DHR. Yeah, we have a couple of private contracts, but most everything is through DHR, and we only offer on sites for Morgan, Coleman, Lawrence, and Winston because I can't go all over the world.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you have to. Hey, that's why I got my 5.
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
I
And
can't be
I had to
everywhere.
learn that kind of the hard way because within the first 2 years, I had an office in Florence, an office in Double Springs, an office in Moulton, and I had all these different places. And if somebody called in sick or somebody didn't show up, I was like, I have to cover 4 places today. Like, how am I going to do this?
I have to say, like, I'm all about networking. I love it. That's how I've built my career. That's how I've got to where I am. That's why I have the relationships that I do with people. I'm not going to get into the weeds of it, but there was a time, and not the distant past, where I could have used the support of a program like what you have.
Yeah.
I had an individual that was beat and test.
Right. Yeah.
Because when you get color coded,
Yeah.
you have time.
Oh, yeah.
You have to report
You
within
do.
24 hours.
Right.
Yellow, you got to be here within 24 hours. And it just, the situations have changed. I'll say that. There has been many advancements made and, character changes. So we're not in that same boat. But during that time, it was a very detrimental state
Yeah.
for an individual. And, it's so cool to be able to get this out to people because people that listen, you never know who's going to say, look, I really need this assistance.
Right.
I need to link up with this person because this child is going through something that they shouldn't have to go through. I'm by nature a manipulator and I have to watch it. I'm pretty crafty when it comes to things in fabrication. And I don't ever want to create a situation that's going to get somebody, in trouble. It's not a vindictive thing.
Right.
But the brass tacks of it is there are situations and environments that children are in that they do not need to be in.
Exactly.
I just had this conversation with my oldest daughter the other day about her little sister. Innocence is a light switch. And once that switch is flipped, you don't turn that light back off. Innocence is gone.
It's gone.
You can't have that back. So children should they should be afforded the right to be just that, a child, because you have the rest of your entire adult life to not have innocence. And when that is robbed at a very young age due to circumstances and environments, it can prove to be detrimental later in life without the proper channels and guidance to help them navigate through the chaos and the frustrations. So if you're listening or if you're watching and you have an issue that you think, now I have to preface it with this. Don't call me and call her and tell her how batshit crazy your sister is. This has to be legitimate.
Yeah,
there's too many people out there that are just vindictive, and I want to get this person.
Right.
This is for the best interest of the child that's in it. If you need legitimate assistance and you need legitimate proper channels to help facilitate a good life for this child, this is what this is about. This is what this show is about. Is connecting people on a deeper level that they may never have known about, because I knew absolutely nothing about it. Because I promise you, if I did 2 years ago, I would have met you then. I would have met you then.
We do parenting classes. We do substance abuse classes, anger management classes, and you don't have to be court ordered to do those or DHR ordered. If you need those and you recognize that you need those before DHR gets involved in your life.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. If you have the foresight and the wisdom to say, you know what, this situation could get a lot worse.
Yeah.
But hey, there's some things that we can preemptively do now before we're ordered to do them and before the consequences are more dire.
I was court ordered to do parenting classes through PACT. I don't even know if PACT's still a thing.
They do. Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you, in my career today, in my management role and leadership role that I have, I use tactics from that class. It's not emotionally charging things. It's actively trying to listen to the problem as opposed to standing in a conversation with my hand raised the whole time mentally. So I'm not going to go off on that tangent, but I'm real big on investment of self. If you can take classes, if you can make investment into yourself, into your character, it always comes out to the good. Right. So you're exactly right. You don't have to be court ordered. And I know, speaking from a legal background, that when you do those preemptive things, it looks a whole lot better on you. And you get something out of it. So you're helping beat the case. But you're growing as a person, and that's what they want to see anyway.
Right.
There are a few judges, I'm sure, that are just assholes. But the mass majority, no, not here. But the foundation of their position and their career and the job that they're in is to help people, guide them in a direction to be a better version of themselves. And if you're taking that on your own, that responsibility, that's going to shine through with them.
Right.
And they're going to see that. So I think you have a great
I don't want to be a checklist. Like, I don't want to be a box they check off. We had a foster baby once, and her dad needed domestic violence. He had serious domestic violence issues, and he needed a domestic violence class, but he was in a county, not here, that didn't offer anything. And so, 6-8 months rock on, there's nobody to provide this service. And one day I go in and he says, "Hey, I did my class." I'm like, "Really?" Because normally they're like 10 or 12 weeks, and I've seen him last week and he hadn't done it. I was like, "Really?" So you did one class? And he was like, "Yeah, I just had to do." It was like a web seminar, like 3 hours. I just turned it on, put my headset on, played Call of Duty.
And I don't want to hear that.
And I'm just like, what? Like, that's not okay. Like, that's just, you just checked that off. You didn't get anything out of that.
I did what they told me to do. Yeah, but you didn't get anything out of it.
Right. And so I don't want to be that. I don't want to be just a box they check off. Like, we try hard. As a matter of fact, we started out with groups, like 10 or 12 people in a group. And we realized pretty quickly that not everybody, if you guys are in the same class, you're not going to have the same needs.
Right.
And so now we do a lot of one-on-one classes, which, isn't very smart for us because you make more money if you do a group, but it's more beneficial. It's more helpful.
Awesome. Well, Amy, I'm going to tell you, like, we're wrapping up towards the end here. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Before I forget,
it meant so much to me.
Before I forget, what is the best way to contact you guys at Lifelinks?
Okay, the number is 256-778-3001.
See, why can't you be that way? She got the number perfect.
And remember, they rest on the seventh day.
We actually don't. We actually do visits all day on the seventh day.
So at the end of every episode, we ask 3 questions. If you have listened to previous episodes, you know what those are. So if you've been on a long road trip, okay, you got all your 25 kids.
No.
And a 15
I don't do
passenger.
No, just me and husband.
Just you and the husband?
No kids on road trips.
All right, so it's just, let me forget Willard.
Willard.
My grandfather's brother's name was Willard. He died at a very young age in a knife fight.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But my favorite Willard story is they all moved to Chicago. And they went to visit Willard when they got there. And this is, I think it's folklore, but it's still a great story. They walk into Willard's apartment, and he's laying on a bed with the springs poking out of it with a whiskey bottle as a pillow. And they said, Willard, what are you doing? He said, just a little light housekeeping. That has stuck with me. But Willard was a boxer, and so that's my Willard. That's my
So
Willard
my
story.
Willard story is he told him I met him. He told me his name was Willard. I had no reason not to believe that because when somebody tells you their name, you know that's their name. And we had been dating like 2 months, and he took me to Easter to meet his family. And as we're pulling in the driveway, he's like, "Oh, by the way, my name's Chris." It's not really Willard.
I love
and
it.
my mom is going to get real mad and not like you if you call me Willard.
I love
I
it.
was like, oh my God. So I spent the next, she passed away 3 years ago, but I spent the next 30 years trying to remember in front of her to call him Chris.
Chris and not
so
Willard.
I worried that I would get in here and I would interchange his name and y'all would think I was like a polygamist or something.
But you have
Or
to tell
schizo,
us
you know?
Yeah.
You have to tell us then though how he got Willard as a nickname.
I don't even know. He was a kid. I don't know.
So it's not a good story like
It's
Peppa.
not a good story like Peppa. I think I probably know it, but I don't remember.
At some point, is Willard going to go and have his name actually legally changed to Willard
No,
as well?
because he has a business in Hartselle and he's Chris to all his customers in Hartselle.
Oh, so
And
at Garnett's, he's
yeah,
at
for
the
Hartselle, his Hartselle name is Chris and his Danville name is Willard. It's really crazy.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
that's too funny.
So
All right.
if I'm on a road
So you
trip,
and Willard
trip.
are on a road trip, right? And you go into the gas station, or you send Willard in.
No, I'll
What's
go.
he coming out for you? What are you coming out with?
a Diet Sundrop.
Boom. What if they don't have Diet Sundrop? Because you can't get that everywhere.
That happens.
Then
That
I look in the
happens.
cooler in the back of my car
Oh, there
and I
you go.
get my own Diet Sundrop because I don't go anywhere without my
I
Diet
told you
Sundrop.
that today.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
we had
My-
to get Diet Sundrop.
My uncle is the same way. He is a Sundrop dude,
Yeah.
and that's what he drinks.
Yeah. That's what
it.
I drink. That's it.
That's all of
I will probably get Pringles.
it. Nice.
Original. And for my sweet,
Boring.
I'm sorry, for
OG,
my
man.
sweet, I'm probably getting a pecan log. Is that weird?
Yeah, dude. No, I love some pecan logs.
Yeah, I'd rather have one
Yeah.
from Cracker
You're
Barrel.
like a step away from an RC and a moon pie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably so, yeah.
Yep.
You drink
pecan
peanuts
log.
and a Coke?
No.
Oh, yeah, no, then you're not. She's closer.
Because she only drinks Sundrop.
But
Yeah.
I do
Diet
like
Sundrop.
moon
Diet
pie.
Sundrop.
Yeah.
All right, so travel back to being a kid. Favorite Christmas. You walk in. What's under the tree?
You're not going to know what I'm talking about, but it's a Miss Beasley doll.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Do you know what that is, Farron?
Does it have anything to do with like? No, I don't know.
She was just this doll that looked like an old. It's really creepy now that I say it out loud. She looked like an old woman, and she had little reading glasses on, and her name was Miss Beasley. I don't know why.
Do they make movies now about how she comes to life and kills the families?
No, but you know what? I think
Tales of
I
Miss
haven't thought
Beasley.
about her.
Was her first name Annabelle?
Annabelle Beasley.
I'm pretty sure that she had a string in her. If you pulled it, her mouth moved. What's that called?
Ooh, I don't know, like a
like a-
marionette or like a dummy.
Like a dummy. I'm pretty sure.
Ventriloquism.
Did she ever
Yeah.
talk on
Oh,
her
so
own?
you could you could
so.
pull the string like a
Yeah.
ventriloquist.
I think so. I
And do
think
your
that's
best
the
old
one.
lady accent.
So I got to tell you,
have to ask my mom.
my youngest daughter Zeppelin, she is 8, and she talks to her friends that are not there, and they live in spaceships.
Okay.
And she has little parties and meetings, not just we have parties and
Meetings,
meetings
oh.
with her stuffed animals
But
and her
you-
dolls.
you got to consider who her dad is. It's an art thing.
it
She's probably
is.
going to be a famous artist. one
She
day as
is
well.
probably.
Yeah.
So
Wait, are we not going to get past the fact though that was her best Christmas?
That was her
it
best
wasn't.
Christmas.
Miss Beasley.
Miss Beasley,
No,
man.
I mean, I had some really. I was pretty spoiled. I had good Christmases, but I just remember Miss Beasley. I just really liked her. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, I'm sorry. I have some. I mean, I can't believe we've gone this whole hour and you haven't made fun of me about Lee Greenwood.
You just ruined it for me. That's how I was going to close.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Do the other question so I can get to that. To the
All right.
agreement.
So we have had a pleasure of you being here. It's been very informative. God forbid something happened to you on the way home. You know, and this is the last thing that somebody would hear from Amy.
Wait.
What is-
I get confused. Is it the last thing she says, or is it what's going to be on her tombstone?
If you would let me finish.
Because I think we've moved.
Just-
Because I got all confused last
No.
time. I was like,
If
wait,
it's-
what? Did we change it?
If this is the last thing that somebody hears, it's your tombstone message. It's your message to the masses. It's the life quote that sums up your mission or who you are. And
I
if
think
Farron would have
it's-
let me finish, it would.
But I got so
obviously
confused the
he's
last-
not listened
I felt
ever.
Like I felt like the question evolved, and it used to just
No,
be
it's always
tombstone, and then it became.
it's always been the
last thing
tombstone.
you
What is
said.
your tombstone message? Your message to the masses?
Because the
God forbid
last
this be
thing
the
I would
last
say
thing.
would be like, so,
So what would that be
I
coming
think
from
it's
you?
got to be say yes.
Say
I think
yes.
it's gotta
I
be
love
say
it.
yes.
That's phenomenal. Not to the dress.
I was about to say.
I mean, or to the dress.
to anything in particular, or
I
just
mean,
say
just
yes.
to whatever.
Okay.
Just
So,
say
like,
yes.
if somebody asked you to be on a podcast, say yes.
Eventually, I mean, it's either that or put him in jail.
Amy, can I have $5,000?
No. Keep asking.
She's a fraud.
Keep asking.
Keep asking.
She's a fraud. So keep asking. So here's the thing, man. Oh, I was gonna go in. I was gonna seg into this so sweet, and she just ripped the rug out from
I'm
under.
You
me.
ruined it.
sorry.
It's as if
You can
it's as
edit
if
that
I
part
were
out.
it's as if I were singing and playing, and then somebody said, 5 times is the legal limit. Anyway,
Wagon wheel.
so she is. Amy is obsessed on an unhealthy level with Lee Greenwood, which I can understand because he looks pretty good for 90.
I'm going to tell you, I have
80.
no idea who
He's
Lee
80.
Greenwood is.
Because I'm proud to be an American.
Oh, that guy.
Now, if you
Gotcha.
tell her, if you say that's how you identify him, she'll get mad and she'll tell you he had 20 other hits.
Yeah.
But
I'm a
nobody else
music
can-
guy.
Nobody else could name one of them.
I didn't
Y'all
know
breaking
that
my
one.
heart. I'm so sad to hear
Yeah.
something like that.
But she is obsessed.
I'm
With
not
Lee Greenwood.
I'm not.
How's Willard feel about that?
He supports it.
How many times have you seen Lee Greenwood live?
29.
And
Good.
how many of those were you on
You're
front
like-
row?
29.
You're like one of those
But she's
women
not
that's
obsessed.
like a Manilow fan, you know?
So
She's not
Not obsessed. Not at all. I've seen
So
him
I
29
messed-
times.
So I messaged his band leader a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey guys,
Not obsessed.
yeah, I'll see you guys in Hiwassee, Georgia on August 25th because I have to go wherever he is,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'll see you guys in Georgia, and he's like, cool, okay, can't wait to see you. And I said, but I'm really bummed because it's not reserved seating, and I'll have to, get in line and then
Heavy
be the
for
first one to
jizz.
Fight too. It'll be a
and
big scrap.
He says, well, you're faster than anybody else in the fan base. Because I'm 30 years younger than anybody else in the fan
That's very true.
base. Yeah.
So my oldest daughter's name is Davin. Her middle name is Tinsley. She was named after Dave Matthews Band and Boy Tinsley.
Okay.
My youngest daughter's name is Zeppelin for obvious reasons. I've seen Zeppelin no times.
Okay.
I've not seen Robert Plant. I've seen Dave Matthews Band one time. So you are obsessed.
I'm obsessed, but I did not name a single child
Well, her-
Lee.
Hey, Lee.
Yeah, okay, but look, Hunter, Haley, Ray, Carly, those are nicknames.
Right.
Okay. Her kids are Lee,
Lee.
and then the middle one is Green, and then Wood.
How about
And then Lee
how
Greenwood
about
again.
Haley, Carly. You see what
Hunter
I did
Wood.
there?
Hunter Wood. Wow.
Amy.
So, I've always wanted to ask you this, though. I know we're out of time. Why, and how, and when? Like, when did you first?
1983.
Oh my God, we were still in high school.
I was 13.
That's
I
so
was 13.
unhealthy. Okay. And why?
I can't. How can you explain that? Destiny. I don't know.
You were destined to be
I
a
was
super
destined
fan.
to be a
It can't be
super fan.
explained.
I can't explain it. It's just a thing. I don't know.
Wow.
Well, Amy,
Thank you so
thank you
much.
for being here
You're
today.
welcome.
Thank you for being here. And Lee Greenwood, if you're listening to this, yeah, Amy's here.
Yeah.
Be real, be you, be salt. Thank you, Primetime Lawn Care.
Yes, I lay here in my deathbed and my journey's to a close. I need the comfort of my kin to light my way. Don't fret for my soul, please, cause I found my inner peace. Won't you join me as I tarry on the river?